I have the winning ticket in my hand. Let's see who's won then, shall we? By the way, we do only have one microphone this evening, so I'll be doing all my bits just by shouting to you. Is that all right?
So we'll have a practice. Can you hear me okay? Yeah. Okay.
We don't need batteries then, do we? So, the winner then of of this wonderful Stan Collymore signed picture is number... You're going to find out after the break. I do that every time. No, it's number 27. Number 27. Who's got ticket number 27? Oh, there you are. Let's have a look, make sure there's no cheating going on. Ticket number 27. Oh no, it's on a blue ticket. There you are, right, you've won that, well done. There you are then.
Stan Collingmore's got it.
You can take that with you then. That's the way to do it, isn't it? Congratulations. So if you want to go and have a pee break or just refresh it up or anything, then you've got about 5 minutes, I think, before we'll make a start, if that's okay. So the auction is for this wonderful signed Bob Paisley frame. That's worth an absolute fortune. I'm sure you'll agree. Do you agree? Would you like to have a closer look, just so you can see what you're bidding on? Bob Paisley. Oh dear, that's very good. It's not really. There we go. Bob Paisley signed picture. So who's going to start the bidding at 50 quid? Do we have 50 anywhere? Do we see £50? Do we have £50? We have 50 over there, thank you sir. Do we have the front here, the legend that is Alan Kennedy, everybody. Give a big round of applause, come on. Two-time European Cup winner. Absolute legend. There we are, I'll let you have the mic. I'm going to ask myself a question.
Well,
okay. We'll take a seat there. We're going to pass back and forth. Is that all right with you? Everybody okay? Everybody sitting comfortably? In the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, thinking, watching the football, the great Liverpool team, and who'd have thought then all those years later I can sit here and say I'm actually sat with such a great guy and have the opportunity to talk to him and find out a little bit about him. So I think it deserves a big round of applause anyway for allowing us the opportunity. So we are going to have some great facts and information. And of course, your football career didn't start at Anfield, didn't start at Liverpool, Alan. Would you like to tell everybody, I'm sure everybody knows, but would you like to tell everybody where it all started? No.
Well, that brings us to a finish.
Where did it start? Anybody tell me? It started at Newcastle, and I played. I was a junior. I say junior. I came through the youth team. I eventually played in the reserves. And guess which player was in front of me in the left back position? Me brother. He's never spoken to me for 40 years. But I was a better fullback. Because I scored a few goals, he only scored one. I scored 3 for Newcastle. So I didn't do things by half. Newcastle were a one-man team. You might remember a player called Malcolm MacDonald. And the story is, in 1974, Newcastle went to Wembley and played against fucking Liverpool. And I remember the game because I was playing for Newcastle. And as I was playing for Newcastle, first half, it's 0-0. We get into the dressing room and our manager, Joe Harvey, says we're doing fucking brilliant. We've been pounded for the 45 fucking minutes. But they hadn't scored. And he said, don't worry, in the second half, we'll be fine, we'll score a few goals. Not one attempt on target. They scored fucking 3. And could have had 6. So we're all walking off the pitch, and we're all going in the dressing room, and Joe Harvey's there. He said, I told you, you know. And I thought to myself, you know. So we were a one-man team at Newcastle. We had some good players, but they were individual players. You lads will know when you play your football and whatever, you know, you have to have a team effort. If you don't have a team effort, you're not going to win. And Newcastle didn't have that. They had a bunch of individual players who were very, very good players, but you couldn't put them together in a team. They all played their little, in their little triangles. So anyway, the inevitable came. I had to leave Newcastle. For 4 years, no fucker come in for me. And I thought to myself, you know, when am I going to go? And then, you know, Liverpool came in. Liverpool's Liverpool. Who were they at the time? Okay, they knocked Newcastle out of the FA Cup, and then they won the FA Cup in '74. But apart from that, I didn't realise the statistics. They won the European Cup in '77 and '78, probably '79. No, they didn't, because Nottingham Forest did. And the thing about it was, like, going to Liverpool, I went and played. I remember my first game for Liverpool. I remember my first training session for Liverpool. Keep the ball, keep the ball, keep the ball. I've never kept the ball in my life. And they're telling me to do things that, hang on a minute, Newcastle fucking launch it fucking 50 yards. Malcolm MacDonald, he'll be on the end of it, don't worry about that. And you think to yourself, keep the ball, keep the ball. Little fancy stuff, little, you know. I once, in a 5-a-side, had 2 touches. And Ronnie Moran, our coach, he said, hey, just pack that in. Don't be having too many touches. Fucking 2. I thought to myself, what sort of a team is this? But it was a winning formula. And that's what you had to do. You had to follow their instructions. I promise you, you had to follow them. If you didn't follow them, you were lost. Who did Liverpool replace Kevin Keegan with? Kenny Dalglish, yeah. Who'd ever heard of Kenny Dalglish? Not being honest. Nobody's heard of him. And you know, and I've come in at left back to replace Joey Jones, who'd been sent off more times than I'd fucking played for them. 13 times he was sent off. Great player when he was on the pitch. And it was one of those, like, you know, but it was like, And I remember, like, you know, the first game, Queen's Park Rangers. Can I ask, has anybody ever heard of Queen's Park Rangers? Yeah? But they were a decent team. They had some great players in those days. And it was like, I remember, why do you remember stupid things like this? Going down the steps in the old stand in Liverpool, you went down the steps and up the 3 steps onto the pitch. And as you're going down the steps, there's a sign that says, "This is Anfield." And it frightens everybody, every player that absolutely goes down the steps. And I was 3rd in line, and I've gone down behind the goalkeeper and the captain. And as I've gone down, I touched the sign. This is Anfield. Fucking hell. I felt 10 feet fucking tall going out there. I did honestly. I felt, oh, I'm ready for it, like, you know. So we have to do a little warm-up. Warm-up was fucking lashing balls into the fucking goalkeeper. That's what the warm-up was. I'm sorry, but that's the way it was in those days. And the cop were behind. And the cop got hit more times than the fucking goalkeeper. Because I was shooting. I made my left foot and like I was trying to impress and everything, you know. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to impress them. I was what's called a record buy. 330, I'm going to tell you exactly, 333,000, a third of a fucking million. Look at that. A third of a million. Oh, that's what they get a week now. Fucking third of a million. And I was going like, yeah. You know, and like, so down the stairs, up the other side, turned right, go into the famous cop, and the cop are like this, fucking hell, you can't fucking shoot. I could shoot, but like, not with a football. No, but the thing about it was, I wasn't used to what they wanted. They wanted a solid left back, up and down the line. That's all they wanted. That's all they wanted there. And I was up and down all the time. The lad called Ray Kennedy, and he was like in front of me at the time. Steve Highway was in front of me as well. And players, I just couldn't work out what to do or how to do things with him. Give them the ball, not give them the ball. Because Ronnie Moran used to shout at me. He was our coach. He'd shout at me and he'd say, "Give them the ball, give it to the guy in the red shirt." And I suddenly fucking thought, no, there's 11 of them on the pitch. And I'm going. And I was so nervous about the whole thing, like, you know, and in the end, it took me 7 years to win them over, and then they fucking sold me. But you know, I was one of those players that was instinctive. I did things on the spur of the moment. And whether you do things now on the spur of the moment, you can't do it in a football match. You become that single person. And every time I went out, and every time I touched, I've got to tell you, on that first occasion, we're touching the sign, and I'm 3rd in line, so I'm behind the goalkeeper and the captain. So I touched the sign there like that. Behind me, I didn't know who was behind me, but it was Sammy Lee. And he said to me, Alan, can you lift me up? He couldn't fucking touch it. He's a heavy little bastard as well. I had to lift him up, to touch the side, put him back down the stairs, up the other side, and whoa, and then you're running towards the cop. If you've ever stood in the cop, and whether you support Liverpool or any other team, but the experience is unbelievable. 45,000 people in the cop, all standing there, all pissing and whatever, they're doing what they had to do, and not enjoying themselves because the kick-off was minutes away. But you felt as though they're behind you all the time. And so, I really got into it and thought to myself, right, I want to be part of this team. Liverpool were at that time just okay. They were in the top 4 of the first division, and they were, let's say, a decent team, excluding 1 or 2 players, and I was one of them. But I wanted to prove them wrong. And I set my stall out and I said, right, I'm going to try every game. You know what it's like? Try every game and nobody can ask any more of you. And I tried every game. And Ronnie Moran, my nemesis, because he was the left back as well. He was left back 10 years before me. And then he became a coach. And he kept looking at me going, what we're going to do, and I didn't know what to fucking say to that, what we're going to do. But he kept slightly knocking me down. But then again, he was slightly building me up, because I wanted to be, right, look here, okay, £330,000. It's a lot of money, But I felt as though the weight was on my shoulders, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to be away, and he was helping me to be the footballer maybe that he wanted to be, a left back. And so I always felt pressure from Ronnie Moran, not so much from Joe Fagan, not so much from Roy Evans, not so much from other Tom Saunders and others. Ruben Bennett was a fucking alcoholic. He was our fucking goalkeeping coach. He saw a fucking double out once and he went, he'll never make a goalkeeper. Next minute we're fucking signing him. That's the way it was. But Ruben used to come in every day. Every day he came in stinking of whiskey. Nothing wrong with that. But every day, you think to yourself, and he'd come in and he'd go up to you and he used to say, good to be alive. That's all he'd say, good to be alive. And then you think to yourself, what does he mean by that? You fucking know, because a week later, he was fucking dead. He never came in. He never came in because he was fucking dead. But he loved his whiskey. He loved the banter. And that's what his life was all about. And I just said to myself, I've got to follow in people's footsteps like that. And you learn something, And so in the end, they played 42 league games that season. And I played in 37 of them. And I wanted to play more. I wanted to play in every game. I didn't want to be left out, because if you're left out, somebody else has taken your place, somebody else is better than you. You'll know what it's like in terms of football and whatever. You know, you don't want to be out the team, you want to be in the team. And so I was in the team eventually, but then they brought in some other players. Fucking Joey Jones was still there. Can you remember a player called Avi Cohen?
Yeah.
Jewish international he came. But the one that really I was worried about was a player called Mark Lawrenson, who played one of his first games, or some of his first games at left back in 1981. I scored the winning goal in the Champions League final, the European Cup final, and I was dropped for the opening game of the season. So they've got Mark Lawrenson in. Where else would they play him? Well, he's not a fucking left back, but he did a good job, and he's more of a centre back rather than, you know. But they didn't want to move Phil Thompson, or they didn't want to move Alan Hansen out of the middle. They tried to play three at the back. That was a joke as well. Only because I was playing in the game. We played a pre-season Wembley game or something like that, and it didn't work out. But at least they tried it. That was the thing. They tried it, and I eventually got back into the team, and I then never missed a game for 4 years. So every game that Liverpool played, I played in it, and I thought, that's a pretty good record. And sometimes it gets a round of applause, sometimes What was your question?
You're doing an amazing job, just carry on, it's great.
Just keep on doing it, right, okay, sorry. So I really thought about Liverpool Football Club and where they were going. I wanted them to win trophies. I wanted them to win all the time. Every game I went out there, I gave 110%. And I think you can say whatever, whether my goals were lucky, jammy, whatever. I don't care. I had the bottle to do what I did, and I had the bottle to go out there and show my talent. In, you know, we might have conceded a few goals, and they were all my fault at the time. It was all my fault. Robillard blamed me on a few, but then, hey, Bruce Robillard. We'll come back to him a little bit later. No, but the thing about it was, you've got to put a run together, and that's what it was all about, you know. And we did it. We did it well. We ended up getting to the Champions League or the European Cup final in 1983-84 season, and we played a team called AS Roma. And just to briefly tell you about it, it was like going into the lion's den. But you know, people like Graham Souness, who was our captain, stood tall, and I'm not being funny, there was one called Graziani and Conti and people like that. They were way taller than us, they were athletes, but we didn't care. So we were standing in the tunnel, waiting for them to come down. And they came down and they looked at us and they said, we'll have you in their language, obviously, of course, okay? And Souness couldn't wait to get fucking at them. He was like that. He said, just give us a little fucking punch, a little dig and whatever, like, you know. So we had words in the tunnel, and as we walked out, we said, we'll be fine. we'll be fine. And for the first half an hour of the game, we were fine. No problems, whatever. They scored, we scored, and then it was one apiece, half time. We goes into the dressing room. Joe Fagan, our manager, said, lads, brilliant. We've got the away goal. This is the fucking European Cup final. There's no fucking second leg. We're not going back to fucking Anfield or whatever. He'd forgotten about it. He'd forgotten all about it. And by the time he said all that, we were creasing ourselves with laughing. So we went out for the second half, and we did okay. So it was one apiece at full time, 90 minutes. Then you've got your extra time. We didn't know that, I promise you honestly. No players knew it was extra time. And the referee's come on, and he's got the two captains. He said, right, okay, extra time, who's whatever, like, you know. And Ronnie Moran and Joe Fagan are going round the players, and they're looking at them, and they said, because they know if it's still one apiece, it's going to go to penalties. And they've gone up to the players and they've said, I swear honestly, Ronnie Moran came up to me and said, are you alright? I said, yeah. I didn't know he was fucking asking me to take a penalty. I didn't know. But that's the way he did it. He did it quietly. He said, are you alright? I said, yeah, I'm alright. So he's included me in the fucking penalty shootout. I didn't even fucking know until later. So I'm sitting there, because we're all sitting down and whatever, relaxing, if you're not being called or whatever. And so he's picked some players, and I remember sort of like just standing there going, who's the penalty takers? Do you know what it's like? Sometimes you do want to take one, sometimes you don't want to take one. I didn't want to fucking take one. But he says, are you alright? And I said, yes, I'm fucking alright. And so anyway, we had a discussion, and they've nominated 4 players. And I honestly said to them, who's the 5th one? And they said, it's you. And I've gone, it's I did swear, it's fucking me. He said, yeah. You said you told the manager you were alright. I says, I fucking was alright 5 minutes ago. He said, well, you'll have to take a penalty. I said, well, I'm taking the last one if I'm going to take one. And that's how it worked out. That's how it worked out. So the 4 players, and you know who they picked? They picked Kenny Dalglish. The problem was, fucking Kenny had been substituted. He was off the fucking pitch. And they're going, you know. So it was a comical. It was comical. And in the end, okay, Bruce Grobbelaar said, I'll fucking take one. And we've gone fucking nuts. There's a limit to what you can do, honestly. So anyway, like we'd organised it, who it was going to do it, what order. Steve Nicol. Steve, remember that lad called Steve Nicol? Yeah. Jumped the gun and he said, I'll take the first one. And he went and took the first one and he fucking missed it. I'm jumping up going, fucking get in there, fucking brilliant, well done mate, well done. And everybody else is going, fucking hell. They're gonna score the next 4. Won't get a shot. I won't get a shot, that's what I'm thinking. I won't get a shot. That'll do. And the way it worked out, but 2 of their players missed the penalties. Grobbelaar, I don't know whether you can remember him doing the wobbly knees and whatever. And he did all that. And I'm thinking to myself, fucking hell. I remember going up to take the final penalty. I remember Bruce Grobbelaar coming past me. And he's like that, giving it all that and whatever. And he says to me, where the fucking hell are you going? I said, Bruce, I'm going to take a penalty. He said, what's your record in taking penalties? I said, I've taken 2. I fucking missed it. that is a record. So he's fucking like that with Joe Fagan, the manager. He's fucking pointing to Joe Fagan. Don't fucking get him. Don't fucking put him in there. Hey, and like, so, and I'm thinking to myself, lads, if you've ever been in a situation about taking a penalty, go with your gut feeling. Because I thought to myself, fucking hell. And I put the ball down on the spot, and that's when I realised adrenaline is brown. I was thinking, I can't help it, but I was shitting myself. But I thought to myself, fucking hell, I'll be alright, I'll be alright, like, you know. And they said, never change your mind, never change your mind. Once you've made your mind up, don't change it. I fucking changed my mind alright, okay? Only because the people behind me, the players, were shouting me, left, right, left. I didn't know what they were fucking on about, but I just thought, yeah, okay, right, okay, well, I didn't have a clue where it was going. Didn't have a clue. So I feigned to go one way, and I've gone the other way. It was going to go in the bottom right-hand corner, and it went in the top left-hand corner. And I thought to myself, you lucky jammy bastard. You're changing your mind at the last second. Why do it? Well, you do it because you think, you know, whatever might happen. And all of a sudden, it went in the back of the net. Fuck me, I was like, get in there! And I peeled away to the right-hand side, and I went, and this is, honestly, I did this, and don't anybody else do it. I had a jump. It was only a little jump, but I had a jump. And I thought to myself, you jammy fucking bastard, like whatever. So I did that. And I thought to myself, fucking great, you know, and I thought, everything's going to open up now, and it's going to be like this, that, for the next 10 years and whatever, like, you know, fucking 3 weeks later, I'm fucking playing for Sunderland. We were in the 2nd division in those days.
I was saying, well, what did you do? I said, well, I'll ask you some questions, one question, that's all I got in. But come on, please be upstanding. Give him a big round of applause. Come on, everybody. Thank you, Alan. Superb. Thank you very much. Excellent, brilliant. Well done. Thank you again, everybody, for coming. Thank you, Alan, for making all this way over.